without going through challenges, I can't grow. If you are not making bigger goals, trying new things, then you can't fail, but then you also can't grow as a person.
Linh is a Vietnamese-born entrepreneur, a passionate speaker, mentor, and advocate for philanthropy.
Using her success to uplift others and make a positive impact globally.
I believe that we are more than just our business and more than our wealth. There are lots of areas in our life that we should always look for ways to improve ourselves. Number one is...
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Grow Your Business podcast. I'm so excited to have Linh Podetti, who is a Vietnamese-born entrepreneur. She's based out of Sydney, Australia, and she's the founder of Outsourcing Angel, a leading virtual assistant recruitment agency. Linh is dedicated to helping business owners scale their businesses while being able to get balanced and fulfilling lives. Her journey started from a very challenging childhood, which we will dive into a little bit, to becoming a single mum and eventually being able to be a successful businesswoman. She's shaped her passion for intentional living and work-life balance. She's also a speaker, a mentor, an advocate for philanthropy, and she uses things to uplift others. And I have now known Linh for a little while, and I'm so excited to be able to have you here. Welcome, Linh.
Thank you so much for having me. Really grateful to be on the hot seat this time.
Yeah, absolutely, and turn things around. And
yes.
Linh, a lot of people have had lots of adversity and challenges. So tell us about some of them and how they've transformed you into who you are today.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for the challenges that I've gone through, because I think if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be here at all. And one of that is deciding that I could be a mother at the age of 20. I remember my mum going like, do you know you're having a baby? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And, you know, being 20, you think you know everything, but you don't. And I ended up having a child with, you know, not an ideal man, and I became a single mum. And I realized that, yes, life is very difficult, raising a kid while trying to build up your career at the same time. And that, because of my son, though, it really got me to figure out, how do I live a life where I could be with him and still have a career? And I think that's how I got really motivated to figure out like how to start a business. And, you know, it led me into online business. And here I am over, I guess, 14 years now of just working online. And now I'm able to create jobs or remote opportunities for others as well.
That's beautiful. I mean, isn't it amazing that so many people, when they've had those challenges, either they break us or make us, and it sounds like that they've absolutely made you. The podcast is called Grow Your Business. I know that with the work that you're doing, Linh, you're also helping other people grow their business. Tell us a little bit about, you know, what tips do you have? What things have you noticed in terms of growing your business, but would also love that perspective because your business is so centered around helping others. Tell us a bit about how we can grow our businesses for the people that are tuning in today.
Yeah, sure. I think that the fortunate thing when I first started so it was a marketing agency that succeeded. Everything else I started before, don't count that. It was all learning. But the reason why that business succeeded was, number one, I didn't try to do everything myself because I didn't know how to. So at that time, I had business owners that asked, hey, how do I build a website? How do I do SEO? And I said to them, well, yeah, you know, I can help you with that. And instead of doing it myself, I hired people to do it. And so in the first year, it was already doing, you know, 200 or 300K revenue. And the next year started to grow a bit more. And I think ever since then, I know that the ability to scale is really up to me. It's, you know, how many services do I want to create? Who do I want to hire? And you can scale it as big as possible. I would say that why I haven't scaled as big as I could have is that I actually didn't have a big goal. It wasn't until last year that a friend of mine who was in YPO said that, oh, you're 40 this year. Well, actually, you got 5 years to get into YPO. Never in my life did I even gave myself like kind of any goals in business. My simple goal, I think I was always holding on to, is how to create a lifestyle business, a business where I enjoy, have a good time, make enough money that I could pay myself and I pay the team, and we all have a great time. And I think that by having a goal like that, it kept me there. You know, I definitely have a 7-figure business, but it was just growing organically, and it was fine. It's exactly what I wanted. But it wasn't until I decided that, hey, setting a bigger goal means that I would need to become a better leader. I need to figure out how to solve bigger problems, and I'm going to become a better person because of this goal, whether or not I achieve that ultimate goal or not, but I know I'm going to be a bigger person. And so I think that when it comes to scaling your business, just being clear on how big you want to grow, and then know that you have access to a global workforce, which is what I usually help people with, to be able to support you in that growth stage.
Yeah, I love that, isn't it? Sometimes that people around us can see some potential in us sometimes that we can't see. So the fact that they've gone, here's some fire under you. Come on, Lynn, let's get you into IPO. And you're like, now I need to scale significantly, because obviously YPO, and I think it used to stand for Young Presidents Organisation, but both Lynn and I met through EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organisation. And so it's that next level of revenue and challenges, and really looking at how you can accelerate your growth. Now, Lynn, I'm really interested in the next question from two perspectives. I wanted to get your tips on how to manage people, how to get people to do some of the things that we want to do, some of the top tips and strategies you've learned in terms of being able to deal with people. But I'd love those two perspectives. I'd love what you've done in your business, but then I'd also love for you to share, seeing that is your business, how you've helped people do that, and what you've seen, even when you've had clients, what's worked really well when they've hired some of your people, and what hasn't. So would love for you to share some of those strategies, ideas, maybe some failures, anything that you wish.
Yeah, sure. So I'm definitely in the people game. We deal with people all the time. We hire people for ourselves, but most importantly, we hire a lot of people for different businesses. And so number one is you got to love people. I've come across people who are like, oh, I'm not a people person or whatever else. But I think that we have to realize that we live in a world with people. And being a Christian, I know that God created us people, and we're all kind of children of God, and it allows me to really embrace and love every human being out there. It doesn't matter if you're Vietnamese or Italian, like I love you as a human being. And with that love for people, I think it already comes across differently. Like when I hire people, I don't see them as someone, more lower than me because they're working for me. I always treasure people as an individual person. And so I think as a leader, I've always been, I guess, authentic. And one of the someone who was a role model for me was when I was working in a corporate job. She was my first really great manager. And I remember she was the coolest manager who did not wear different hats at a different time. Like if you meet her in a party, she acts the same. If you're at work, she's exactly the same. She was fun. She was herself. She was vulnerable. She shared kind of like silly or dark secrets that, she didn't have to tell me, but she really opened up to me. And how it made me feel was that I love her, I supported her, I felt like I could trust her, and I wanted to be my best self for her. And so ever since then, I rarely met people like her, but somehow I became her. And I always tell her nowadays, I'm like, oh my God, you really gave me an insight on what a good leader could be. If I didn't see that example, I might have had to act a certain way, like I'm wearing a suit, I've got to be this kind of leader. And so it was helpful that I experienced that early on, because then all I had to do is be myself. Be myself, meaning be that goofy Lynn, be that motherly Lynn or the friend Lynn, and be real so that people really can connect with myself. And so I think nowadays I realize the importance of communication as well. And when it comes to people, things go wrong. Number one is whether, are you acting, are you being authentic? Then number two is like, do you understand how to communicate? Different ways to communicate, so that it could, I always hear the quote around, it's not what you said, it's what people heard, right? And I think there's always room for improvement. I wouldn't say that I was a perfect leader from day one just because I was authentic. There were times that I, could have dealt things in a different way. But I think that the one key area, if you want to work with people, is learning to be able to communicate. And I guess another tip I would say is, having dealt with a lot of challenges in life earlier on, lots of things going wrong. And, I learned how to stay sane when things aren't going your way. Be calm, be not like, oh my God, what's going on? And start blaming other people. And so when you could create a workplace where it's just peace and calm, and you're not getting angry at people just because they made a innocent mistake, then you create a workplace that people just feel like it's a safe place to work at.
I love that. It's not what you say to people, it's what they heard. right? Because that's the meaning that they're giving to it. That's how they're interpreting in terms of that information. Lynn, my next question I'm really curious about is that when challenges come your way, whether they be personal or business, and challenges are always coming our way, how do you deal with them? Do you have a ritual or a process or a system? Like, what do you do when they come your way? Take us through that, and maybe give an example, one example. Just take it through what you do.
Yep. I think when you're, in earlier time in your life, you've rarely come through challenges. You tell yourself, oh my God, how am I going to get through it? It's impossible because you've never gone through it. But then when you've lived in this life long enough, you realize that things always work out. It's only in hindsight did you realize that it was meant to be. If it wasn't for this, then this wouldn't be that. Like when I had a child, I realized, oh my God, I just made a decision that I can't reverse, this is it. But then later on, I realized if I didn't have a child, then I wouldn't be here. If I didn't start my business, which I had no idea about, then I wouldn't have learnt the skills for outsourcing. So over time, you realize that this is normal, and you just become a lot more embracing of the journey versus panicking. But it's hard to tell someone who's at, maybe 13, 14, who's experiencing problem at the first time. It's like, don't worry, everything will be all right. It's hard for them to believe until they've gone through it to see it. And so I think it's just a matter of time for you to realize that there's kind of a pattern in life. And then one thing that I've learned also is that without going through challenges, I can't grow. If you are not making bigger goals, trying new things, then you can't fail, but then you also can't grow as a person. And so I see challenges now as an opportunity to grow. But how to deal with it is being a Christian. I think it's been really helpful. Like I wasn't a religious person at all. I actually discovered faith only about 3 or 4 years ago, but just knowing the word of God and knowing that, Jesus says, just lean on me. You don't have to figure out everything. There's, don't worry about today. Tomorrow has its own worries. And there's all these words that really helped you to see that for thousands and thousands of years, it's been written in there. It's just, you are not alone. And I think I used to be more stressed out because I thought I had to figure everything out. It was like, there's a problem. Okay, how do I fix this? And I realized that I don't know everything. I'm not God. And I'm able to kind of be at peace with things. Like I will try my best on dealing with it as best as I can, but I'll go to sleep knowing that tomorrow there will be another solution, or there'll be someone else that will come. And so I just kind of allowed the day to, I would say the word is surrender. Surrender to what is, and don't judge the situation as good or bad, because we don't know until things kind of roll through.
Wow, so much wisdom in that little piece on its own. Now, one of the future aspirations you've already shared with me is that you want to get into YPO. What are some of your other aspirations, whether they be business, personal? Take us through, and do you look a year out, 5 years out, 10 years out? Some people go, yeah, I look at lifetimes. Tell us about, what's the span? What are some of the things that you really want to do, so we know what's sort of inspiring you?
Yeah. I believe that we are more than just our business and more than our wealth. There are lots of areas in our life that we should always look for ways to improve ourselves. Number one is I really love fitness. My health is important. There's no point in making all this money and yet you don't have the healthy body to enjoy it. And so every day I plug in all the different important areas such as health, fitness, reading, learning, a bit of business, family time, my husband time. Everything deserves some effort in it, because everything kind of interrelate to each other. Like if you have a bad relationship with your partner, then you're going to feel miserable and you can't function at work, and then you can't be your best self at work, and then you'll bring your problems at home. And so it kind of is a cycle. If you don't work out and you've been drinking and you're partying, you start to feel guilty and you have no energy, and it kind of just affects everything. And so my goal every day is just to tick. It's very simple. It's like I have these habits every day and I just need to do, make sure each day is perfect. And then so each day or 7 days equals a week. And then if you do that weekly on a weekly basis, it becomes a year. And so I can always look back and know that every year things have progressed. Sure, I have big goals, like I want to get a 6-pack. I want to get into YPO. They're all kind of big goals. But I think that one thing that I've been able to learn is to not get so attached to the goal, but get attached to the journey and excitement of, of that goal pulling you along. But I want to make sure that I'm always enjoying my journey along the way and be happy, because there's no point in getting so caught up in the goal that you become a miserable boss and go, what's going on? Why are we not hitting this goal? And stress out. And one thing that I always remind myself is that I don't know how long I get to live on this earth. I could pass away tomorrow. It could be a week's time. So why waste any moment stressing out or worrying? So you use the goal to be that guiding light, but then see, the process as day by day.
Mm, mm. You've already sort of embarked a little bit on the next question, which is, what are some of the things that you do for your own wellness, particularly mental wellness and mental well-being becoming so important? So I heard you say that you exercise. I heard you say you read and other things. Are some of those things that you do daily? Have you got any other rituals that you do weekly or monthly or yearly? Talk to me about, what do you incorporate? I've almost heard some of the stuff you do daily, but particularly to measure your wellness. As you said, there's no point having all of this money if your health isn't there, but there's different parts of health. There's that physical and mental and spiritual. Tell me more about that.
So some of the things that I enjoy doing is journaling. I think it's so therapeutic, if that's the word. I've even got my children, who's 8 and 11, onto it. My husband's starting to journal as well. And it's such a great way to let go and all the stuff that's in your head. The moment you write it, it's as if like you are able to purge it out. So that's really important. And definitely in the morning, I feel like I am the most, I guess, like I have so much clarity and I'm clear. And so that's why I wake up really early. So I wake up at 3 a.m. in order to have that clear mindset. But it also allows me to have time to do the things that is good for you. The things that is good for you is, meditating, exercising, maybe working on those most important tasks first, even planning out your life. Like I always, I have a holiday plan, I have a yearly plan, I have reflection time. There's all these things that, when you do it, it feels good, but there is no time to do it. And so the only way for me to make it all possible is by waking up really early. I didn't just start at 3 a.m. I originally started at 5 a.m., realizing that only gave me an hour, didn't really change anything. So I experimented with 4 a.m. for a while. And it wasn't until I met someone at the gym at 4 a.m., this lady that I saw, I was like, what time did you get here? Like you're already in the middle of your workout, I thought I'm early at that time. I used to work out at 4. She's like, oh, I wake up at 3. And that was when I realized it's possible. And so I experimented with it, and I found it to be a sweet spot where I sleep at 9, I wake up at 3, but it gives me like a solid 3 hours of doing a lot of mental prep. So I sometimes read the Bible, or nowadays I do a cheat way. I go to ChatGPT and go, what did the Bible say about anxiety, for example, or say about money? And then it just gives me the right knowledge, and it's kind of like my hack on still learning from the Bible in a shorter way. I'm being a more productive way. And then I have enough time to, I think reflection is so important. When you can reflect each day, week, month on what did you achieve? What's holding you back? What kindness activities are you doing? So every day I actually ask myself, what kind thing did you do yesterday? And then when you write it down, it holds you accountable, and you remember, oh my God, I only did 1 thing today, but today I'll do 2 more. And so those are the things that helped me to kind of feel really good. Actually, one important thing that I would say that beat everything else was just quitting alcohol. So 1.5 years ago, I decided to quit alcohol because I realized that every time I drank, the next day I would feel bad, and it would affect me not being able to wake up. Then I wouldn't be able to work out. And then I have all this guilt, and I finally was able to let it go. It wasn't easy. Like people who met me recently thought, oh my God, you just made up a goal and you just did it like that. I would say it's been like 25 years of not liking that habit, but couldn't let it go until recently.
Wow. So zero, absolute zero.
Zero alcohol. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've tried to moderate. So I've quit 5 years ago. I quit. People said, hey, as long as you drink in moderation, everything in moderation. And so I got back and moderate, but I realized there are just some things you can't moderate, because it changes. Like the moment you drink and you're having a good time, you're no longer yourself already, and you're making different judgment. Oh, I'll just have another one, and then I can never trust myself. And so I would just rather cut it out, and it's been more helpful and predictable.
That's amazing, Lynn. I get up at 5, and now, a lot of people say to me, oh my God, you get up so early, because I do the same thing. 5 to 6 is my ritual. Never thought about getting up as early as 3, only when I was writing books or doing a concentrated project. So you've got me thinking about a bunch of different things. Now tell us, people want to follow your work, some of the support that you provide other businesses. Most of our audience are business leaders and owners and entrepreneurs. And so tell us about what platforms to find you on. How do we find out about you and your business as well?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to share where people can connect. But if you Google my name, Linh Podetti, I am across lots of platforms, from YouTube to LinkedIn, Instagram. I share a lot of content, not just about outsourcing and business, but also a lot of things to do with living a better life, and more intentional life. And so, yeah, the company is Outsourcing Angel. We currently provide you with remote resources, whether it's a staff member or a team that you might need. But yeah, love to connect with you.
Amazing. You are such a joy. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I'm Shivani Gupta, and you've been listening to the Grow Your Business podcast. I hope you got one idea that you can think about, or perhaps even implement straight away in your business. Thank you for listening. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn under Ask Shivani. Remember, I call it Ask Shivani, so please send me your questions that I can address in this podcast for you. And I would also so appreciate if you went to the Apple Podcast to rate and review this podcast.